upper 60s deer last year, chasing a giant. Our giant hadn't been seen this year, so we're gonna do what we always do, default to the good spots that have always produced, and we're at the hunt club, so it's gonna be a great evening. What makes the hunt club awesome? 10,000 contiguous acres managed for over 30 years. 27 200-inch deer in the last 29 or 30 years. Multiple Boone and Crockett, grossing Boone and Crockett 170 bucks every year there. It speaks for itself. We got to the hunt club the end of October, around the 28th or 29th. The rut hadn't started. The 3 and 4 year olds, 2 and 3 and 4 year olds were on their feet, you know, checking doe groups, just typical pre-rut activity. You know, early on in the hunt, the does definitely were not in. Based on the fact we were just seeing pre-rut activity, it wasn't warm, but it wasn't super cold. Buck movement would consist of, you know, a movement right after daylight. If there was fall frost on the ground, there'd be a movement right at daylight, and then when the frost would melt, and if the does were up at all, you know, their scent would carry further and it'd be easier for them to detect, so the bucks would be up on their feet after the frost melted. I would say that the beginning of the whitetail, Midwest whitetail rut in the area we were in at the hunt club, and you know, it's in Illinois, it's really close to central Midwest, was around the 5th or 6th that does actually started coming into heat. I don't think there was I think it kind of trickled from that point, but the big bucks were locked down with does, I would say, after the 5th or 6th of November. There's going to be micro circumstances based around that, but no question that's when it started.
Full Draw Adventures is brought to you by the Ultra Rest by Quality Archery Designs, America's archery accessories. Sitka, turning clothing into gear. Dead Center Archery Products, American-made precision-engineered stabilization solutions. And Shine's Scents, make a deer's nose his worst enemy.
How do you deal with spiders?
They don't bother me.
They don't bother you?
Mm. You got a little one in the floor there?
That's the biggest freaking spider I've ever seen.
That ain't even a wolf spider, that's a small one. That's a baby.
Oh. Got him. Got him.
We're at the hunt club. Today's been very different. All the guys in camp are seeing bucks. Bigger bucks, more bucks, chasing does, kind of following does. And this evening, we're on a food source and there's a lot of movement early. It's a cooler day. It's been cool for a couple of days. I think our barometric pressure, this is going to start down though because it's going to rain tomorrow. But a lot of rain coming, so that may very well be causing the movement. But there's a lot of movement early. It's still 2 hours before dark. Hour and a half, 2 hours. November the 3rd at the Hunt Club in Illinois. So for the last 3 years, I've been hunting this giant deer called Cinderella. This deer scores no telling what this year, but no trail camera pictures of this deer, no sightings by anyone concerning the deer. So it's really hard to hunt a ghost. But, you know, the great thing about the hunt club is there's always going to be a mature giant whitetail to hunt there. We still got quite a bit of time this morning. We'll stay optimistic.
Full Draw Adventures is brought to you by True Ball Archery, the real #1. Anyone can claim it, we can prove it. Axel Sights and Scopes, leading technology, proven results. Black Eagle Arrows, the best precision carbon arrows. Ozonics, undetectable, undeniable. And SWAT Broadheads, drain your game.
Today we're going to talk about inconsistent arrow impact. There's multiple things that can cause this. If your arrow and broadhead is properly tuned and then you're having inconsistencies in your impacts, it can be hand pressure. And this is a vital part of making sure that you have consistent arrow impacts. Proper hand pressure in a bow shot consists of you not holding or gripping the bow. You draw the bow back and you settle in with light pressure on the sides or in front of the bow, and all your pressure being in the back of your hand. Anytime you grab the sides or the front of the bow and you hold it and the bow goes off, this causes hand torque. When you're lightly holding the front of the bow and the sides and all your pressure's in the back, as the shot goes off with proper hand pressure, the bow has a chance to have natural reaction instead of a manipulated reaction because you're holding or manipulating its course. November rolled on. We had great buck encounters, almost sealed the deal on a high-racked 150-inch deer Aaron and I did on the ground on the way out to the truck one day. So the buck wins, we lose again. It's what happens when you bow hunt. You hunt, you have built expectations, and it just don't happen. But when it does happen, bow hunting, you cannot put it into words. It's just amazing. So I've done this a lot of times. I understand it. So, you know, you tip your hat to the deer and you wait for the next chance. It's about 8:30. We saw 4 or 5 bucks, 5 or 6 does. We saw a bona fide shooter. He was too far off to get on camera. But a man, 8-point in the upper 50s, low 60s, 5, 6 years old, just a brute. He's with a doe. Looking just like that little guy right there. But the big guys are still with does. When they cut loose, it'll be mayhem for about 3 or 4 days. They'll move like mad.
This segment brought to you by Matthews Archery. The Suspense Bow Case from Elevation, a revolutionary bow case featuring 2-piece design, suspension hooks, field mat, accessory components, and garment storage. Elevation. Above standard is our standard.
So Wes and I start our hunt. We're having a great time. We put some trail cameras out just to check where deer might be with concerning food. You know, it's later in the season. There's still rut going on, no question. But, you know, you've got to locate where the deer are. We got a trail camera of a buck that we call Flyers. This deer we had an encounter with last year. The trail camera picture shows this buck with a 5-inch flyer. He's 5 years old. You know, he's a mid to upper 50s 8-point with a flyer. So Wes and I are super excited to put some time in on this deer. And there's a stand super close to where we got the picture where you can get in easy access and the deer have no clue you're there. We have a couple of bucks come by the stand at around 3 o'clock, and they go directly downwind of us, both of us using our ozonics, completely undetected. The bucks go by, they don't have a clue in the world. And I look, and coming out the edge of the wood line, down the road, here comes this 5-year-old upper 50s 8-point with does. So the buck comes in off the edge of the road into the area we're in. It's got some thick, it's called Chinese elm, and hedge apples everywhere. So the buck beds down 44 yards away and no shot, and he's got does all around him. I mean, this buck was still rutting. And that's what your big, you know, 5-plus-year-old bucks are doing, you know, at that time of the year. This deer laid down and chewed his cud for 30 plus minutes. Then he gets up and heads on an angle straight behind us. Okay, it's the next morning. We're gonna ease down here, and Ralph and I are gonna check this right side of the road. There's a little thick strip. We shot the deer in here, but we're gonna check this little thick strip here just to make sure that he's not in this thick strip and hadn't circled around, or he's, you know, maybe on the lake edge or something. But we're gonna slide right down here, get out. We're gonna get our kinetic packs on, because the wind's blowing in the direction we're going to be looking for the deer. So we're going to put our kinetic packs on so that we can hopefully help mask our scent if the deer happens to still be alive. That's kind of the game plan anyway. Ralph, I am seeing a rack. Can't tell if he's got a fly or not. That means our deer for sure, but it is a buck. It's a good buck. Well, he's got, well, what'd you count, 13 scorables, and he's got some extra little burrs, but in the end he's just a mature deer, a great deer, a hunt club deer. It's what you come to the hunt club for, Ralph. You know, it is. You come for a mature deer and you have a really good chance at the hunt club to take an animal this caliber or bigger. So I can't say enough about how this particular season ended. It was epic in a lot of ways. You know, I got a buck I had history with. A big thanks to Ron and Jill Doring. I mean, the hunt club is just, it's just a class act place. It's a 5-star event from beginning to ending. This closed out my Midwest whitetail hunt for the year. Couldn't be happier. Great trophy, great animal, great time.